So I guess we're going to start this video by watching an aerial battle with the hawks and the ravens. The hawk comes in to Raven Haven. So then the ravens, they gang up on him and they chase him away. I don't know how if we're catching this on video or not, but we've got two hawks and two ravens battling it out. I've watched them grasp up on each other and fall out of the sky just to swoop feet from me. Raven's probably got about a 5-foot wingspan, 4 foot, 5 foot, somewhere in there. Or maybe it was just because he was right in my face that it seemed so big. What you're hearing, yeah, they're almost out of sight right now. I don't think the video is going to pick up anything. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Hawks versus the Ravens at Raven Haven is the canyon up here, and Hawks Haven is beyond the labyrinth, looking over the valley. And little puppies. Oh wait, there we are. Alright. Anyways, and I'm Rob. So we're gonna take the short path through the labyrinth because we've been through this several times, but everybody else kind of stays on the path. Instead, we're going to go up into one of my favorite spots, and we're going to talk about some topics that I think are really important. And we're going to check out Haas and Collie. Come on, guys, puppies. Come here, puppies. Hi, kid. Hi. So this is going to be the puppies' first trip up into the canyon. So we're going to wear them out. Puppies, come on. Come on. Oh, we got a straggler. That's an elderberry bush. You know, you pull the elderberries off when they're coming ripe. You can make syrup. It's about the best medicine to push away the flu. It's an immune booster. And they naturally happen. They naturally happen. Right about the time that people start getting sick. That's the scary deterrent to Raven Haven. Hey puppy, come on. Hey, little puppy, come on. Come on. Come on. All right. So we make our way up into Raven Haven. There's been hundreds of hours of work. Contemplation and meditation. And puppies. Well, they haven't been up here, but the dog's following me up. Hi. Hi, guys. And you know, this is such a magical place for me to have been able to spend time in contemplation and thinking about things. Because for decades in my life, I was too busy to think about things. I just had to keep doing them the way I'd always been doing them. Because that's what I found paid the bills. Kept me secure. Kept me, I guess, content with my life. So I've got a health and wellness Facebook page, website deal, and I call it Arobi Yogi, like AROBI Yogi, because a practitioner of yoga is a yogi, and when I started teaching it, like I would go to a restaurant or, most particularly, I went to Mod Pizza, and every time I'd go there, they'd ask me my name so they could put it on my order, and I'd tell them, I'd say, Rob, and they'd ask me how to spell it. And now I've seen the movie Idiocracy, and I was thinking, I'm like, have we really degraded in I guess intelligence, that the name Rob is hard to spell? And so I would spell it out. A-R-O-B-I, no, I would spell it out, R-O-B. And then I just kind of wonder, I'm like, gosh, it seems like a pretty easy one to me, But every time I'd go in there, it'd be a different person, and they'd be asking me how I spell my name. And I'm like, gosh, I guess I need to be spelling it out for these folks, just to get it. And I was like, all right. So, what if yoga is just spelling it out for people? It's helping something. It's why the Buddha, when he recognized enlightenment. Oh wow, look at that. The ravens were eating on a mouse, or God, that's bigger than a mouse. I don't know. Oh, there's some more bones. Excuse me. Oh, need some water. Hey Hoss, what's up, buddy? Hey clumsy puppy. Hey clumsy puppy. This is pretty steep, so they're actually doing pretty good. Watch out there, Turbo. You're gonna. Oh, look at you. Oh, look how cute you are. Look at how cute. Watch out. Hey, come here. What are you doing? What are you doing, huh? What are you doing, huh? Oh my goodness, huh? Yeah. Hi, buddy. Hi. What are you doing? You're such a good puppy. Yes. Hey. Let me get my water, okay? Yeah, I don't drink out of plastic, or whenever I can avoid it, because, plastic, it can leach, stuff into the water. Stainless steel. And I don't throw these away. I mean, I've been using this one for, quite some time. Works really, really well. So here we are. We're not all the way up in the canyon. We're only about a third of the way up in the canyon right now. And this is my life. This is what I get to do regularly. Like whenever I want to do it, I can come up in here and you coming to the rescue? Huh? You coming to the rescue? Oh. Right. There's Cully. Come here, babe. Hey, Cully. Hi. Yeah, good girl. Alright, so anyway. Oh, that's funny. Alright. So, let me get my water. This is really difficult to do. No, normally I'm not videotaping, so, or I guess that's an antiquated. Okay, now we're good. Got my gear. Got a tripod and a water jug, and we're gonna go talk about some of the biggest problems that are the simplest. So we were talking about yoga, and yoga is actually a very simple thing because it's union. That's all it is. It's not all the twisty poses and stuff. Well, I mean, it's partway that. I mean, because that's a tool that we use to help a person recognize that right now moment. That right now moment is where we have power. We have so much power to do the things that we want to do in our life. To act how we want to act. To think the thoughts that we want to think. Because if we're focusing on the past, there's depression or regrets. focus, it's our memories. We're suffering our memories when we focus on the past. And now if we focus on the future, we focus on something that's only our imagination. Because how often have we worried about something and then it didn't even come true? If we spent our time in a heavily meditated kind of way, so if we spend our time in a heavily meditated kind of way, we find simplicity. I was getting ready to tell you a story about the Buddha when when something was grabbing my throat. Let me find a rock I can sit on here. So the Buddha went to the forest for like 6 years. And he left society and he left everything behind. To try to figure out why people weren't happy and healthy. And as he sat and contemplated life and asked all of these difficult questions, he finally realized it. He was able to stay a whole day without having any bad feelings. He was happy the whole time that he was awake. What are you doing? You're crazy. I know, you're just such a lover, huh? Yes, you're such a little lover, puppy, huh? He was able to spend the whole day happy and content. And I'm just going to change some angles here so you can see that I'm just surrounded by really awesome experiences of life, and it's just because I make different choices than most people. I bought a piece of property that's away from cities. I moved out into the desert. And then as I started to live in the desert, I realized that with my actions, I can change the desert into something that's a sustainable place for me to exist. Instead of me sending my poop to a plant somewhere else so they can make money off of it, I put it in the ground. And all of the, I've got a truck, and we go to grocery stores and we pick up all of their waste. And most of their waste is food that people can eat. It's cases and cases of bananas and fruit. And so far I've picked up an estimated 40 to 50,000 pounds of food and cardboard. And so with that food and cardboard, I've been creating compost. And in the dump, it's over this hillside, over this mountain here. There's a road. It's not. I don't have to bring the truck on this kind of on these kind of rocks. Rocks are a little smaller on the road. I picked up over 100 tons. I'm gonna get closer so the audio for you. Let's actually go up into the canyon here a little bit farther. Let's get out of the wind. Hey Haas, do I need a password? Do I need a password? Huh? Alright, buddy. Oh, you guys need to come in the pathway, bud. You gotta find the path. You gotta pick your path to your life, kid. Good job. Good job. Yeah, sometimes we gotta make our own path, huh? Yeah? Now are you the gatekeeper? You're the gatekeeper, huh? You're the gatekeeper? All right, how are we gonna do this? Where do you want to set up, Haas? What? All right. Water in the desert. Like an oasis. All right, buddy. Should we just do it like this, huh? No, you guys will knock that over, won't you? Alright, that's going to be pretty good, I think. Alright, so, I'm always great at cutting my head off on these, so I'm going to get down just as best I can here for you. And it's cold, so I'm going to throw my hood up, but I am the most accountable person that I know of. My middle name is Will. It's what I grew up being known as. And I'm the freest. Hey, be careful, Haas. You're gonna fall down. That's a scary drop off, buddy. That is a scary drop off, buddy. So, and I'm the free. You're gonna have to come here and sit down. Sit down, buddy. Sit down. Sit down. Come on. Stay. I know. Lay down. All right. Okay. Anyway, I'm the freest guy I know. I tattooed it across my knuckles. I'm the most accountable person I know. So, puppy, don't. The puppy's licking the camera. No, don't eat the camera. Shit. All right. Yeah. This is. Maybe this isn't gonna work out right, but I'm gonna start doing it. There's a couple topics that are really big topics that people are seemingly not getting. We're talking about yoga. I'm jumping around here a lot. I know, lots of energy up here, lots of distractions. yoga is a really simple thing to get once you get it. And that's the same thing like with enlightenment. The Buddha, he taught it. All of these different teachers have come and teaching how to be happy and how to be in that now moment. How to recognize your power, how to build the life that you wanna have, you know? And it all starts with free will. And so I am the most accountable person that I know. It's my essence, what I practice in my life, what I promote to other people, is conscious use of their free will. Because we've been operating within our free will for a long time. But there's people out there that advertise things to us, and they are really good at advertising things. And they have these idols, these really hot models, and somebody's out playing, driving a little fast down the hill. Well, they have these really hot models, or they're like American Idols, and they say, hey, you should wear this kind of clothes because that's the kind of clothes that I wear. And what you may not realize is they probably wouldn't wear those clothes except that company gave those clothes to them, and they paid them a lot of money to say that and act excited. And so we have people acting that something makes them happy, but in reality, some of these actors are even killing themselves because they're not happy. They're acting happy. They're not really happy because you wouldn't want to, killing yourself is just making this ride get over sooner. And death is every bit as natural as being born, but this is part of the journey. This is part of our journey of getting in touch with nature. We learn from nature. That's the original yogis. They went away from civilization. They went away from other people's ideas. They returned to nature. They returned to nature and they learned how Mother Nature does things. And when we learn how Mother Nature does things, we learn how efficient things happen. Like all these rocks that are in here, I threw them around a little bit to create these pools. So like when the water comes down there, and when we get a lot of it, it makes a big pool there. And then I want to build that one up big enough that it'll cascade into this one. And I can hear it all the way down in my cave, my man cave, with a big steel metal roof, and a welder, and a pump that I don't have to carry water, and a comfortable place to sleep, and a fire. I can hear it though. So when the snow starts melting, I can wake up in the morning and I can hear the waterfall hitting the pools of water. It's really neat because when I first moved up by these canyons, I could hear it, but just barely. I'd go outside and I could hear it, and it was the water falling and it was diffusing over all the rocks really, really easily. But when I built the pools, then it held the water, and then splashing into the water really makes some noise. And there's another video on here where I actually come up and I, bring my head up underneath the very, very cold water. It's like so cold. Oh, ice, ice water. Let's get Colleen. She's... Anyway, we're talking. Let's make sure we zoom back out here so you don't, or you're not just focused on my nose or something. Because that'd be funny, right? Anyway, hi. Oh, you guys are so cold. Come over here. Come on. Hey, come here. Yeah, you guys don't have a hoodie, huh? No, you don't have a hoodie. You got fur though. So the solutions to some of the problems we face. We were talking about free will, and free will is what every sentient being on the planet has free will. And having free will makes it to where you can make any choices you want, even if they're bad for you, even if they're bad for somebody else. And that part seems like it kind of sucks, but when that person makes their free will choice, they don't determine the consequence. And so they have to make sure that they are making the choices based on what they know as likely consequences. Like the puppy. It knows, it's really little, but it knows that if it bites my finger, that I'm going to push its skin onto its tooth a little bit and make sure that it knows that it feels the same pain like what I did. And not to scare him or not to make him hate me or something, but to let him know that, hey, that's not appropriate. That there's an effect to the cause that you just did. And that's what people are like too. I mean, like when I started kindergarten, I had to go to the schools, the public schools, and I liked the learning, but I didn't like the school. There were people I didn't know, and it was, I don't know, it was like a big box. I always liked to spend my time outside. But anyway, the first day this kid was picking on me a lot, and then my mom told me not to get in trouble at school, and so the second day he was picking on me a lot, and finally I had enough of it, and so after school I made sure that he wasn't going to pick on me anymore. I let him know that that's not nice and he shouldn't do it, and he never did it again. And so that was really cool, because I didn't let somebody else try to handle my problems. I just went and took care of my problems, and I think he probably turned out to be just a fine person too, because we have to learn cause and effect, so that way we learn how we can work with each other on a voluntary basis. And that's where I'm kind of going with this talk, is we need to try to work with each other voluntarily, not by force. Because if we're forcing something to happen, that's taking away the natural principle of free will. And the natural principle of free will is beautiful. It can be a life of however you want it to be, and a life of freedom, and a life of experiences that help you feel happy, and help you realize that power of right now, because it's always right now. And that's yoga helps us to recognize the union of our breath with our awareness. And when we're consciously breathing, oh, hi, puppy. Yes, hi. When we're consciously breathing, we are aware of our right now moment. And it takes practice, though. Just, what are you doing? Hey. We have to be aware of that to be aware of how our thoughts and our thoughts and how we wish to be right now, the perspective that we want to hold, the the experiences that we want to have, you know. And when we recognize those models of cause and effect, we realize that the more self-responsible we are, the better our life is, because somebody else isn't going to know you better than you know you. And if you know you, and you've spent some time thinking about how you want to be, and how you want to experience life, well then, nobody else is going to know that better than you. And if you write it down and you make a vision board, you'll see that your life will start coming together the way you want it. And how I'm gonna move this. I think I still got camera time. Yeah, we do. All right. We still have battery and data space. It must be something we're supposed to talk about then, huh? All right. So how that moves into politics, and that's something that we're like I was told as a kid, no, this is something you don't talk about. Don't talk about politics or religion. It's just going to piss people off. And I'm like, well, but things aren't seemingly working very well here. I mean, I was born right at the end of the Vietnam War, and basically there hasn't been much in my life that, there's been none of my life that there's been no war happening anywhere on this planet. So that means that there's some people who aren't finding their peace, and if religion is supposed to find peace, and government is supposed to provide services and wellness, and neither of those is working very well, this is something we should talk about. And so I'm okay with pissing people off if it means that we're going to awaken ourselves to a pathway away from struggle. So they say you got to do what you want to do, or you've got to do in your life, I guess, what you want to experience in your life. And I wanted to explore some of these answers and find out how people have been happy. And so I looked to these guides, and I've been doing what they do, and I'm finding what they found. And it just happens by making different choices. I haven't always been happy in my life. I used to be very angry. I used to be easily angered, like scary, like that's stupid. I felt like uncontrollable, and that was just because I had some hate in my heart, and it wasn't anybody's fault but mine. And so I changed. I shifted my perspective, and I realized that everything in my life has happened for me, not to me. And every experience that I have had, when I recognized the growth potential from it, it made me stronger. It made me recognize that you shouldn't put yourself out there so much to put your happiness in somebody else's hands. Or, everything in our life can teach us something. These puppies are teaching me that they want a hoodie. I think my hand's frozen to the selfie stick, so I hope this video is worth it. And so in politics, we do this by creating a voluntary type society. Whereas if we cumulatively want something to happen, we have a GoFundMe page and we say, all right, let's have this happen. And then everybody who wants to see that happen, they pitch in, and it happens. And we do it voluntarily. And we're able to do this voluntarily because we're not being stolen from in the form of permits and permissions and fees and taxes and all this kind of stuff all the time. for things that we don't want to happen. Because I mean, really, for me, I don't want my money to go to war. I mean, I would rather it go towards peaceful resolutions, not ones that involve mass murder. Oh, the ravens are coming back. Let's see them. Alright, and so we're going to talk about both of them. We're going to talk about religion too. So religion, in its origination, was seeking oneness with God, right? Being in a way that we walk with God, being at one, recognizing that oneness in us all. In yoga, that term is called namaste. Namaste means the light within me appreciates and acknowledges the light within you. We're appreciating the fellow travelers on this pathway of life. Right? Even this little ones. Even this little ones, huh? Even this little ones. Where's the other one? Hey, where's the other one? Huh? Follow mama? Alright. Nope, I guess not. Maybe it's lost. We'll find it in a little bit, huh? Find it on the way down. So in religion, people have an idea based on what a middleman told them, or acted like, or things that are rumored that they've said. Puppy pile, huh? Puppy pile. Oh my goodness, isn't this the cutest thing, huh? I'm glad you guys don't weigh 100 pounds apiece right now. Yeah, like you, big guy. Like you, big guy. Huh? Alright. So in religion, we've got people saying that my God is the right God, and they've never met them, or they've never, there's just things they believed that they don't know. And that's the same thing too. There's people who are atheists that they're. What are you doing? Are you trying to steal my stick? Are you trying to steal my stick? There's atheists, and they say, no, there's no God. There's nothing beyond this physical experience right here. Well, the thing is, like, energy can't be destroyed, and so, like, the little part of us, the energy, the soul, it can't be destroyed. We hand back this body. We hand back this body that we built from the land. Your mom gave you a little body, a little one. And when you eat stuff from the land, you become bigger. And so there's an intelligence within that turns, for like this guy, he turned some pieces of kibble and sometimes, some watermelon and some strawberries and blueberries and some meat and stuff into a bigger body. And so, when he dies, it's going to turn back into the dirt. It's going to turn back into the dirt when he decomposes. Just like me. This is a skin suit. It's something it's something that we use. It's not who we are. But so we should take care of it. It's our temple, right? It's our temple that we reside in as a soul, as a part of God. and I see God differently than a lot of people. You know, a lot of people, when they write God, they write it with a big G, a little O, and a little D. And so if I'm gonna get my hand warmed up. So if that if my English is right, and you know my lessons from grammar school, that would signify a person, place, or thing being capitalized in that way. And I don't see it as that. I see it as big G, big O, big D, representing a almost like an acronym: growth, oneness, and divinity being the breakdown of that acronym. When we walk in line with growth, oneness, and divinity, we are experiencing walking with God. We're seeking selflessness. Yeah, that's gonna work good, I think. Don't touch it! The puppies are chilling out. Leave it alone, Thomas. We're seeking growth, oneness, and divinity. We're acting selflessly. We're acting as if our boundaries are expanded. So, like, the boundary of me as Robert Leaning is this physical body, right? The boundaries of my energy self are a circle that's a little bit beyond what I can touch. You know, I mean, that's like, as I expand out, I'm expanding my energy outwards, right? And so that becomes my boundary. I've expanded my boundary, and that's another thing that yoga helps us to recognize. And we keep pushing with yoga. We don't just accept that, oh, this is my new boundary. We keep pushing beyond that boundary, and you recognize that you can actually grow. You at first, maybe your shoulders don't stretch out as much as they do now, but we grow and we expand in our awareness and what we can consider a boundary of ourself. Well, then we start to realize that, man, I can reach out like far enough that I can reach past like two people. You know, I mean, like two people standing next to me, I can reach out quite a ways. Maybe even three now, I don't know. And so those people have become a part of my boundary. And do I want to hurt those people? No. I mean, why? If I'm letting them stand that close to me, it's not because I think that they're a dangerous person to be around, right? So I've expanded my awareness into their boundaries and my boundaries have merged. And so in a way, we kind of become one. And when we recognize that that oneness happens in all directions, inward and outward and up and down and left and right and north and south, and we stop wanting to harm somebody on the other side of the planet. And a lot of people wouldn't harm somebody on the other side of the planet. You know, you'd have to travel all the way over there first off, and then you'd have to pull out your gun or your machete or your rock or your hands, and you got to hurt them. And most people, when they met him, they'd be like, and the guy offers them some water and maybe a bite to eat, they'd be like, wow, you've come a long ways. Would you like something to eat? Would you like something to drink? It's kind of hard to put a bullet in their head. But when we ask somebody else to do it for us, and we support it with our money and our energy and our consent, we hire soldiers to do it for us. And even though the soldier may have good interactions with some of the people over there, he's told to do things, they do things. And then they come back home and then they suffer PTSD from doing things that they know they shouldn't have been doing. Their morals compromised because of an order. They followed their legality rather than their morality, and now they suffer. And so that's why I help people with PTSD now. I talk with them, and we work on meditation, and we learn that power of right now lets us remember that if we look at the past, we're suffering our memory, and we need to learn to forgive ourselves, and we need to learn to forgive other people. And that's going to start happening by not pushing our will on somebody else by force. And one of the simplest solutions I'm suggesting happen is that we come together and we demand that our laws are being enforced by violence even when no one was harmed. We've been promoting the state to have a monopoly on violence so that law is able to be maintained. What we need to maintain is morality. And that's where the difference when the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. And it's a healthy society when the spirit of the law is enforced. But we have certain kinds of people rise to power when the letter of the law is enforced. We need to stop allowing our government to just raise taxes to take care of problems. Oh, that's another one. Okay, I went to a talk last night, a TED Talk. I dress differently for TED Talks, because, I try to fit in. This guy, he was doing fantastic work. So many years ago, when the modern infrastructure came to our land, they straightened out rivers, they straightened out creeks, to make it easier to put in railways and roadways. And what happened by doing that, though, is it speeds up the water leaving the land. And when we speed up the water leaving the land, it warms up, and it takes away the fish habitat. And so he's been trying for 14 years to work to fight the government so that he can do things that need to be done to promote healthy fish populations. And healthy fish populations represent healthy aquatic populations, and healthy aquatic populations represent quality waterways, and quality waterways represent a healthy ecosystem. And we don't have any of that going on right now. Things that I'm teaching here at Hawkshaven is about permaculture, and permaculture helps to hold water to the land, and holding water to the land promotes healthy aquifers and a healthy landscape and a healthy ecosystem. And when we promote the water being held to the land, the land starts working as like a wet sponge instead of a dry sponge. And so when the waters melt from the snow, they absorb into the land instead of pushing across the land and carrying the nutrients with it. We've
been advertised for a long way that the way we've been doing things is the only way to do it. But I don't think that that's true. And there's ways that we can work locally, voluntarily with each other, in our own environments that would promote cohesion within our community. Because I'm involved in all different groups. I'm involved teaching yoga. I'm involved in climate action groups. I'm involved in veterans groups. I'm involved. I know bikers and I know militia people. I know Republicans and I know Democrats. I know Luciferians and I know hardcore Christians. I know a little bit of everybody. I know monks and I know I know a lot of people. I know actors. I know a lot of people. And we all agree that we want a peaceful, abundant, clean, efficient world to live in. And I believe that 99% of people, actually 99.999% of people, are really good folks. They've just been advertised a way of being that isn't working for them and isn't working for the people around them. So, anyway, I've been invited to do a podcast, and so I think in the next week or two we're scheduling a day that I can be fit in on the podcast. And so we're going to be talking about some of these real events and real topics. And anyway, if you like my channel, pay no attention to the titles, because sometimes there's some pretty good talks hidden inside the titles. So it's kind of a don't judge a book by its cover kind of deal, huh? All right. Anyway, we're gonna hang out up here for a little bit and go back down to the man cave where there's internet available and upload this. Like, share, subscribe, check out some of the other videos. Engage. I want to know it. If I say something that doesn't align with what you feel makes more sense, let me know, because I'm open to it. I mean, you know, because at one time in my life, I thought that drinking and partying and getting involved in different relationships was a good idea, and now I don't, and it's working better for me, and I like my life. I wouldn't trade it with nobody. So if you can bring me to even a better level, please do so. That's what I'm trying to do for other people. Is life is what you make it. And these guys would love to go cuddle up by the fire, so we're gonna head back down the hill. Thank you. Hey, Collie.